Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Basically, this is Formula Part 122, that is 122. And in previous part, basically, we have saw exactly that uh, how basically we are getting the ideas, basically, on the base of what basically we are getting ideas. So, software industry, that is basically base software are created, and in within that base software, many softwares are getting created. So, the base of these ideas basically where basically from we are getting that basically we have saw that it's getting from Bollywood industry. So like this basically it's a chain of ideas also, you can say that one ideas are getting from another sector is getting ideas from another sector, third sector. Like this basically it's around a thousand, more than thousand sectors are there. Each and every sectors basically are getting something basically, some ideas basically from other sectors, but basically it's never basically you can track that, because software industry was started, that was basically you can't track basically from where the software industry has started, because it's not possible to track basically, because the set of Bollywood groups have created the set of base software company, and then basically the that's 16 ways basically. One example I have taken, that power companies have passed the 16 ways of CRM project, and Accenture and TCS basically got four ways of project basically of the CRM project. So like this basically Accenture and CRM, Accenture and TCS basically how basically they can track that from where basically they have got this CRM idea. It's not possible basically, because it's a power company, they have passed the idea, and from air condition basically they got that idea. Like this basically they have got the ideas from the air condition, and air condition was basically getting the power supply from the set of power companies, and that was actually setted, that 16 ways of CRM project basically you can create, that was basically setted in that, specially setted for the Accenture and the TCS company basically. So here basically who can able to track basically, lots of people says that we can basically create our own ideas basically other than 16 ideas. For that basically we can work from home, but basically then the power company told that we have your each and every employees from where basically they are working, so they are told that we will pass the ideas to your home basically, where you are staying basically, and where you are doing the work basically in the computer. So that basically, then basically thought, yeah, that might be because the boundary of the CRM project is already drawn, and the physical areas are also created of that 16 ways. That's why basically each and every things are basically tracked by the power industry, energies industry, and nuclear plant basically, which are connected with the power companies. So each and every basically Bollywood industry also might be getting into power and ideas basically from somewhere basically, that basically the power companies, nuclear power companies, and the energy companies might be knowing that. Here basically I have taken one small example of the how basically the software industries are getting ideas from the Bollywood industry basically. So Bollywood industries are telling that we have created the software industry, and we have passed the ideas basically, but nobody is going to tell that, and yeah basically this idea I have passed. Reason behind basically the ideas and the project basically I was telling you, this is basically one of the new project basically for software industry also, you can say, and basically this might be the new, this project basically might be created by the Bollywood industry. Why? Because Bollywood industries are into the each and every sectors, because they have to play the role of each and every sectors people basically, they have never left any of the sectors basically, because their duties are there to create, to tell you the truth, tell you the actual picture, actual view of the that industry basically, that is basically. For that many software industry related project are also created by the Bollywood industry, Bollywood group basically, that is basically movies, serials, and theaters basically, how basically the software industries are working, how the project is working, how Microsoft basically software company came into picture, uh, how basically Microsoft project basically, how basically Microsoft base company, how they uh, got birth basically, you can say that basically would be the perfect word, how Microsoft company got the birth basically, you can say. So from that is basically from set of the user stories basically. So because you can't track anything basically, because it's not possible to track anything. So now basically we are discussing about the chain of the ideas basically. Then basically one person told that why basically this project they has to create by software industry basically. Why? What is the reason behind this basically? That was basically the question basically because the each and everything we you create there should be some basically the reason basically. Without reason basically nobody is going to create anything basically because nowadays it's a business world basically. So whatever you do, whatever you create, that basically first basically is the money investing people basically they see basically how much I am going to get from that investment basically. That's all. This is the priority basically because whatever things you are going to create, that is has to be invested and that basically required money basically. So investor basically always think of basically for example bank have taken the certain monies from the software industry basically for especially for textbooks basically. So they are going to invest the money in not only on the IT industry but wherever basically IT industry groups are going to use their product basically. For example, the IT industry is telling that we are going to the petrol pump basically to fill the petrol basically. So there basically IT software industries are 100% going to do the investment because they are going there and they are filling the petrols. That's why basically the IT industry, the banking industries are telling that we have to invest there basically. So basically just see basically up to the level basically each and every things are basically getting into picture basically. Now this was basically about the investment. This investment basically we have already discussed in the previous many long before. Basically lots of videos are um, are basically upload here basically related to the banking investment also basically. Now basically here we are going to see a few interesting topic about the banking investment basically how the banking investment are doing the investment basically for the software industry basically and the software industry professional basically we can say. So one of the example I have taken that is a petrol pump. So basically, fuel basically they do the fuel, they fill the fuel basically. Software industry fills the fuel. So there basically in the petrol industry, petrochemical industry, basically the banking industry do the investment. They have to do the investment because the software industry people are going there. For example, software people are going to the mall, or software people are going to the restaurant, or software industries are basically going to some movies theater basically. Then basically the software industry have to, the banking industry are taking the money from the software industry to the invest to certain sectors. So there basically they are going to invest to the mall industry. They are going to invest to doing the investment to the retail industry. They are going to invest the money to the restaurant industry. Then basically they are going to invest to the movies industry, that is basically Bollywood industry. By default, basically Bollywood has created the software industry, but it's basically stories basically on the base of what the software industry has got birth basically. But basically now it's basically the birth is happened. So like this, the software industry has grown also. So but the base basically is movies stories basically you can say on the base of that basically which is each and every things are getting created. So here basically where one person asked that what is the profit basically, what is the reason, what is the profit, what are the profit going to happen if the basically the money we are doing the investment to the software, we are creating this project basically, that is the chain of the ideas project basically. Then the person told that whenever the things are getting whenever the ideas are getting into your body, that time basically the set of blood cells 100% is going to generate because the ideas are equal to. I have taken one example of the 16 ways basically of the CRM project was created, and 4 ways basically the CRM project was observed by the TCS and the Accenture basically. So that is basically 4 ways which has already entered into the TCS basically software TCS and the Accenture companies employees basically. Yes. And that basically by default is going to spread to the each and every employees basically because to spread the energy basically takes less than 1 minute basically you can say, because if it's air condition then basically it's going to spread more fast basically. So Here basically we are talking about the software industry, which one of the person asked basically the question that what is the profit behind the chain basically, what is the profit which the software industry going to going to have basically if they create the one software which is going to store the ideas chain basically. Then the another person basically who was connected with the energies industry, that is basically the software energies, and basically on the basis of software basically he was creating the software energies. So like this basically he told that if in future basically if any disease comes from the if any disease came basically, assume that, then basically how you will track basically from which chain basically that is coming basically. Nowadays basically corona has came basically, so it has more than I don't know how many people, more than 50 lakh people might have died basically just for the from the corona basically, because there was no track basically, you can say there was no track of the chain basically, and it was very came suddenly basically. It was not like that it has came from many years basically. So it was basically came suddenly, and then this was also basically the, this is just example basically I'm telling. So like this basically the disease is going to come basically, and has came basically from which industry basically, that basically tracking is very difficult basically. But if you have the each and every data, each and every data of the each and every sectors basically, from which sector basically which ideas are getting passed, and after the ideas basically which is getting passed to the another sector, then what are the energies which is getting generated. For example, from Bollywood basically the sector of ideas are passed to the, it's not fully passed. Repeating the word, the fully ideas are not passed from the Bollywood industry to the software industry. For example, Microsoft ideas is basically Microsoft company has created on the set of certain movies basically, and certain movies stories basically, that is basically the ideas you can say. So entire fully ideas basically related to the Microsoft has not passed basically, you can say. So each and every sector basically mostly don't pass the entire ideas basically, you can say. But the whatever the ideas which has passed, on the base of that ideas which was passed to the sector basically, what energy basically was generated, and which type of human needs basically was created, and on the base of that human needs basically which are the energies got generated. If this energy can be disease, so on the base of disease basically which type of medicine has been created. So like this each and every information basically, that is basically has to track from the software, that basically mostly the software does not exist, might be. And if exists, then basically then it's very easy to track each and everything basically, from where the exactly the ideas are getting to the software industry, on the basis of which software which stories basically it's getting passed. So software industry is also passing the data to the another sectors basically, and at the under that another sector is also might be passing the data to the another sector. Like this basically it's a chain generation basically of the ideas of the each and every sectors basically, you can say. So like this, assume there are thousand sectors basically, it's very difficult to track each and, for example, the error was in some 506th sector basically, and there are thousand sectors basically. So the people basically who was tracking, who is tracking this disease basically, from where this disease has came, then basically he have to see from first sector to 500 sector, and when he will came, when basically he is going to reach to the 506 sector, then basically the another disease might have generated from the another chain basically. So like this basically he will solve this 506, that time basically another sector. Like this basically this problem will never get solved basically, because there are thousand sectors basically, and in thousand sector basically you just see basically, when I had taken one example of the CRM software basically, just software related error. It's basically CRM software related ideas basically we are talking about. So here basically we will be seeing this CRM related software ideas, really what exactly this is, in the next video, that is basically 123. This is 122.